Weird. I don't see how YouTube could stream the audio without the video, without you even starting YouTube yet.
Yeah. Especially not without me starting it.
Yeah.
I should have checked the processes before I hit it. It couldn't have been running.
So are you guys on foolishtechshow.com or on the actual YouTube page? That would make a big difference. Yeah, okay. So yeah, if you're on foolishtechshow.com, that's why, because Twitch probably started auto playing and it was playing in the collapsed section. So right above where it says live stream on YouTube, there's a live stream on Twitch that you can expand. We have it broadcasting to 2 places there. And I guess if you left the page open, it'll stay auto streaming, or it may just start auto streaming and not mute. I don't know. We'll have to look into that. So sorry about the confusion. But hey, welcome everyone. Looks like we got quite a few already in the chat there. RTM Tech, Eagle Tech, Phoenix PC, and Futures Tech Ian. Welcome all. It is Thursday, and we're here for the Foolish Tech Show. And basically, if you don't know, we're here to provide support or answer any questions about our products or services. And if you have any of those, feel free to interrupt us at any point in time by jumping into the IRC chat, which you can access at foolishtechshow.com or foolishit.com/live. And we'll be able to talk everything about our products and services first and foremost. But otherwise, you can help steer our conversation about the random chitter chatter that we bring up all the time. So, how is everyone's Thursday out there? We've had some training and restructuring going on here. So, Michael's given Proctor a headache. He has to have ibuprofen. And I've been crunching away on the beta update, doing some advanced fancy programming things to get that
Much appreciated, by the way.
working smoother and fixing some stuff. But think that's doing well. I'm going to have Michael test it out while I'm testing it out as well and see if we can find any more glitches or errors, because I've made a whole lot of big fundamental changes to everything. So we'll have to see if that broke anything direly. But
Oh, he's getting better every day, folks. He's getting better every day. So I find fewer and fewer things as we progress along into this, honestly. Fewer fundamental problems, and the few things that I have found that have been fundamental changes, usually gets it right on the first try. So I'm very confident in this, and I think a little testing will bear that out.
Yep. Well, hopefully it's about there. We are getting extremely close, so that is exciting. And it is looking a lot nicer too, so that's good. Cool. So Phoenix, your connection is slow. Are you still at work? Yeah, you said you were working on firewall stuff, so I assume so. It's nice that you're able to watch the show now with us as well. I saw you had posted some links there. RTM Tech had sent me some links as well. Futures Tech Ian is building a Windows 10 VM. Awesome. That's going to be fun. Let's go ahead and knock out these links that RTM Tech PM to me. So this first one is Game of Drones. See drones fight to the death. That sounds like fun. And then he said his quote for this one is, "Hey Microsoft, fish or cut bait on enterprise phones." I have no idea what they're doing with phones right now. We had talked about it a little bit earlier that they just kind of need to stop with their phones.
To say the least. But anyway.
I know, right?
I
didn't know they had phones.
Yeah, god awfully, yes. And they've been trying so many times. It's not like they keep doing it, like year over year over year over year.
Me, there's like a mobile version of Windows.
Yeah, still,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been around for a very long time. and they've constantly.
Did they buy Nokia to put that on or something?
Yes, yeah, largely.
And now they've sold off to Eczema.
Yeah, they small off to Chinese manufacturing, basically the Chinese Apple, I guess. As far as having the newest gadget.
So I got something very important, and actually important to all of us. I probably should have mentioned it when I first woke up and got on, but there's been a huge Reddit thread about TeamViewer having been hacked, and
oh yeah, I was looking into that.
Essentially denying everything and blaming it on the end users for having weak or insecure passwords for it. But
TeamViewer gives you a 4-digit password by default, doesn't it?
The version 10, they actually upped it to a 6-digit one with letters and numbers.
Yes.
9, it was a 4-digit number password. So
remind me to disable that.
So, but now it's interesting though. A couple of things. These stories just kind of popped up very quickly.
The biggest thing is this has happened over the past couple of weeks. And at the time that it's been alerted to TeamViewer, their entire site went down worldwide, and they blamed it on server issues and DNS propagation. But this was coincidentally when a lot of users started having their systems compromised,
very
and
mysterious,
to the point where people are using TeamViewer to log on at off hours of U.S. Work time. Open up the browser, and if you saved your credentials in there, they use Chrome Passview, or just go to your bank site directly, empty out your bank account, and then put ransomware on there to also ransom your files. So,
I was almost tempted after reading it to uninstall TeamViewer.
Yeah. Well, Phoenix, that's the thing is TeamViewer is saying it's not hacked. If you read through the Reddit thing, and it's quite a long Reddit topic, that it's interesting, and I'm not sure of all the exact details around it. It could be the password thing. Like I said, the older version 9 and below, they assigned you a 4-digit number PIN to access your computer, so not exactly secure there. It's very, very interesting setup that they have going on there. So I'm I'll go ahead and disable it on my main computer right now. I have it on some other computers, but they don't have access to anything.
Already done.
So it's interesting, and yeah.
I use it anyway. Why did I even have that enabled? I did use it, but because I couldn't. The Chromebook, they don't have a Chrome app, a Chromebook app or something.
Yeah, they only have a web app for that. So yeah, that's kind of janky too. But anyway, if you're concerned about it, don't run TeamViewer unless you need it running. So that'd be the way to handle that.
Or you could always increase your password strength on it.
Yeah, you could go in and set a custom strong password. They also suggested enabling two-factor authentication, which I had never seen.
Can you do that?
Two-factor auth thing. So I'll have to look more into that as well. I don't know. We'll have to look more into it. Maybe it is user stuff, but at the same time, maybe they should make it a little bit more aware that you should be enabling this stuff if it's something that's easy a matter. And it's very, very interesting that their site went down as soon as all these people started saying that they have all these issues. So,
pull the site.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could have been coordinated that the hackers.
You just said it was.
And then they DOS'd it to make it so that TeamViewer is focused on fixing their server and site versus seeing, oh, look at this, we have a whole bunch of connections coming in that don't look right. So, very quite possible that that thing was a distraction, basically, for them not fixing the current fatal flaw. So anyway, just thought we should point that out and make that heavily.
Well, I know how that is. You know, sometimes you make a minor little mistake that majorly cripples something, and thousands of people start emailing you. You already know about it.
Yeah. Well, no, this would be. I would say this would be a case that it's something they don't know about, and the DDoS attack was to make sure that they didn't catch on to it while they're still taking advantage of it. So it's like,
Okay, thank you.
hey, we're keeping an eye on stuff, but then, hey, our shit over here is broken. We got to work on this, and then all of a sudden stuff starts happening flaky on that side. Yeah. So. Yeah, and that's exactly right. Just like on episode 2 of Mr. Robot, they did the exact same thing. They did a DDoS on the entire Evil Corp network so that they could get a rootkit installed on one of the servers. So it's easy to use that as a distraction, especially with how cheap it is to get DDoSs if you have a good botnet access. So yeah, so just some interesting tidbits on that, and everyone should be aware of and checking out if they are using TeamViewer for unattended access. So, Phoenix has posted some links here, and looks like Force upgrades are paying off. Windows 10 usage booms. Well, of course, kind of been rehashed news. Researchers found 5,200 login credentials for top 100 companies on the dark web. That probably isn't unreasonable. So yeah, that's yeah, I never heard about two-factor auth on TeamViewer either. That's what I'm saying. Maybe they should prompt and say, hey, did you know we got two-factor auth? You probably should enable it. We see you have unintended access on your computer here. It'd be a good idea for you to have two-factor auth. Go for it, please. Yeah, and I super can't wait for season 2 of Mr. Robot. I actually rewatched the season here recently, and it was just as good the second time, if not better, knowing all the stuff that happened in the end. So definitely a great show. So let's see. I had some interesting links here that were kind of old, but I wanted to bring them out and point them up to kind of make light of this whole TeamViewer tragedy. I thought this one was really interesting. Have y'all ever heard of combative juggling? Apparently, they have combative juggling.
Are you serious?
Expos or whatever, competitions. So it's basically two jugglers start off juggling, and then they come and try to attack each other, like just by standing in each other's way and trying to make each other mess up. And whoever continues juggling after that interaction is given a point, and it's 3 or 5 points to win or something. I just thought it was an interesting and funny video. So if you want something light to watch, check that out.
And they don't offer two-factor.
Yeah, I've looked all around in the settings and I don't see it anywhere.
Is it in? We have 10. Is it in 11 maybe?
No, it might actually be in a different licensed version. I don't know.
They said it's in version 9, and
remove it.
hold on, I'm trying to see.
What is two? Yeah, okay, here it is. It's on the website.
Thank you.
You have to enable it on the website.
On the website?
Yes.
There's a website login?
Or something.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not sure here. Hold on. Two-factor authentication for your TeamViewer account provides an extra layer of protection to secure your TeamViewer account from unauthorized access. In addition to your password, a second factor security code is needed to log into your TeamViewer account. To log into your TeamViewer account, you need to enter your email address and password. And the security code. The security code is generated by the Authenticator app on your mobile device. After activating two-factor authentication for your TeamViewer account, The app generates a temporary security code every 30 seconds. When you want to log into your TeamViewer account, you have to enter the security code to fill in the app at this time. Okay, that's how two-factor works.
Huh?
Open up the TeamViewer management
You have a
console.
link,
You have to do it from the
Michael.
management console.
Michael, do you have a link?
Yeah.
Yeah, just link us to what you're reading. That'll be great.
Yeah,
So effectively, that is where the it took me.
What is what you're reading?
What I was reading was here.
Ah.
And so I can sign in with your email address and password, and then you enable it in quote unquote your management console or account. Let's see. If I open up the TeamViewer, there's a link to the open management.
Well, and I do agree with Phoenix too. If you do feel like maybe they're lying and they did get hacked, then it would be recommended to go ahead and change the password to something
And you're crapping me.
as well as enabling two-factor authentication. So.
Dude, what is this image thing? What? Select all images with rivers. This is I hate this captcha.
Oh yeah, those new captchas, they're fun.
I haven't seen this before.
Yeah, that's.
Like, how many times do I have to do this?
If you don't get it right, you have to do it a couple times.
Dude, but can you zoom? What the fuck?
Okay, login.teamviewer.com takes you right in there if you link to it from the app, or at least, and it looks like it probably will just take you right in.
Multiple correct solution. Oh, this sucks.
So under the connection menu in TeamViewer, open management console, and then at that point you should be able. Can you not do it?
Verify once there are none left. Oh, so it's like a game. They make you play a game.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Is this a different management console?
Used to put a quarter in to play that at bars.
Oh, it's a trial. So that doesn't work.
Mega touch.
So that part of it doesn't work. The console goes into a trial mode if you don't go to that login screen with an account that does it. So you can't just follow that as a link. I was thinking it linked it up based upon your settings in the app, but it doesn't do that. So make sure you do the /logon at the end of the login.teamviewer.com.
Just go to the link that you originally posted, is what Michael's saying. Yeah. And I guess we're all distracted doing that instead of talking about the show right now.
Oops.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just looking into that. It's important. A lot of us use TeamViewer. So.
Well, all of us here use TeamViewer, so it's important to us, not to everybody. So while we're doing that, check out this. I thought this was pretty interesting. So we've all heard about the issues with the TSA and security lines are getting ridiculously long, and they
this upset me.
They don't seem to be pointing out the fact that whatchamacallit, that your TSA people have been like 1,500 of them have been diverted from doing their job at airports to doing security at political campaign rallies.
Oh, no, I did not hear that.
Yeah, isn't that ridiculous? So our TSA agents that is making us have super long lines and is already extremely inefficient already is being diverted to do security work at campaign venues. Honestly,
well, they do need to provide some security for the candidates, don't they?
No,
I don't know. Is there some law about that?
If they're going to get assassinated before they're even president, I say let them have at it.
Well, you might be
Especially
right.
with the
Actually, I think
candidates
you
we
might
have
be-
going
you
this
might be
year.
Right. I'm not for this. I think you don't get the Secret Service protection until then. But that's not the Secret Service. That's In other words, why did they choose the TSA
No,
for that
they
purpose?
do get Secret Service protection as candidates,
Yeah.
and then they get.
But why the TSA then if they have the Secret Service? Is what I'm getting at.
TSA has
But
better gloves.
the Secret Service is like the Secret Service doesn't have that many people, so they.
Michael, WTF are you talking about? But they're
Oh,
two different. They serve two different purposes.
I know, but then why is there an overlap? I know, but I mean, whose oversight is it?
The Secret Service has pulled a bunch of the TSA agents because they can't do it all. They got things to worry about, like the president and actual elected officials currently.
Like that's what they're supposed to be doing, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so one of their other jobs is to assist the Secret Service. Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, apparently, any government organization can just be called to assist.
If the Secret Service needs some help with a secret, you're supposed to help, I guess, and keep it a secret.
I guess so. Yeah.
I think that's just a default.
Dang it, that thing didn't even get added to mine, so.
The Secret Service, I know, is funny, but they got to be busier now than they ever have been.
Yeah, definitely. So
maybe that's why they're always going out and getting wasted and coming back. I don't know. There's probably a higher stress level now if the workload is more increased. Well, they haven't been doing very good as far as the media attention that they've received over the past couple of years, with a lot of scandals with their agents and stuff about.
I heard about like one, I think.
And there was a few.
There was actually know about the Secret Service. Quit talking about it.
Yeah, well, the original point of that article was pretty good. The fact that the airlines have essentially taken on the TSA job and are doing security check-ins for their passengers, which actually they're making enough money. They're taking all these fees anyway. It's not like they wouldn't have a problem adding on a fee to do that anyway. So.
Eric points out that Key and Peele did a skit about the TSA. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
They've done a few skits about it.
Probably because they have to fly a lot, I imagine.
It's pretty funny.
My mom makes jokes about it all the time, and what she has to do and how insane it seems to be, the whole process. But luckily in a really small airport, like where she departs from, it's it's not that bad. The delays, there's not really delay much by that, and it's just something she plans for. But yeah, there's problems even in situations like that. So.
Well, speaking of other funny things that might be a little bit scary, I guess, is apparently the North Korean Facebook got hacked by a teenager using the password of password.
A what?
Password.
No, wait. A what got hacked?
North Korean Facebook.
Which it's not called North Korean face, it's called whatever it is called over there. But yeah,
the People's Republic of Korean. I love you.
The DPRK, yes, the DPRK.
I don't know what they
are otherwise known as our mortal enemies. I don't know. I mean, whatever. The Kim Jong-il guy.
Our mortal enemies.
That dude, the guy who likes baseball but still wants to kill us.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't he like watch all the major sports or something over here?
It is the ill, right? Not the un. The un was before him, and then it was.
No, this is the un.
This is
the un. The ill was the old one that didn't watch sports and just hated everyone.
That's right.
This one watches sports and still hates everyone.
He's the larger one. Who actually loves America and
in his youth.
He apparently does. He apparently loves America, but he don't want.
He loves American.
As he gets older, I think he's going to be increasingly more. It's going to be increasingly worse in that regard. I would imagine because
we'll also think about this though. He probably got into office. He's like, yeah, but I love Derek Jeter, and they're like, yeah, but you have to bomb them. And he's like, oh, okay, that's it.
I mean, that much.
Who knows? I don't know how that works, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're not over there. So, but that is.
I don't like sports anyway, so.
Oh well,
He
but I mean,
we can have our sports. All of our American sports can go over there.
Hey,
When-
now some people like American sports.
what's the
I
takeaway
know,
though from this
Tank. And
hacking article? Is it
when
just that
exactly did
poor
you become one of
passwords?
them? Because I was a little disappointed when I found this out. I know it was through largely through boredom, but
When did I what?
when did you become a sports person?
When I played sports as a kid and growing up in school.
When did you become a non-sports person?
Oh my God! Okay, so I see what it said.
You weren't a sports person for a long time.
I didn't pay attention to a lot of it for a long time, and then
Because
boredom kind of got me back into it.
Because back when I was a bartender, Tank used to come up there and he'd be like, hey, didn't you know MASH was on? The baseball game would be on or something. He'd be like, didn't you know MASH is on? And I'd be like, oh yeah.
I'd still rather watch MASH.
You know?
I'm not gonna lie. No,
Yeah.
but a lot of it is, especially back then where I worked. That's especially football. It was 24/7 all year round, even in the off season.
You had enough of it already. Then.
And by the time the weekend hit and the games were on, I was just didn't care anymore. I knew I was going to hear about all of it all week anyways, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there for a long time I paid no attention to any of it.
Oh, people used to hate us.
They did. They did. We're watching that. Well, MASH is on.
I know. It's on the hour.
Or the one time we changed it to like Superman 2.
Oh gosh, yeah. Gosh. Never thought I'd hear the end of that one. Anywho, enough reminiscing. Sorry.
But
It's just sports, you know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I enjoy them when there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Some of them, not all of them.
Yeah. I played sports in elementary school, I think.
Getting bizarre.
I remember playing baseball, and when I cracked the ball, and everyone that was laughing at me, I instead of running, I turned around and laughed at them, and then they tagged me out eventually because I didn't move really. Just kind of stood there. You know, the little finger. I guess I gave him the finger.
Anyway,
Yes, thank you.
so let's see what else we got on our list of interesting links there. Since that debate went to somehow. So this was a nice little short, and it's going to segue into the next discussion that we want to talk about. I know Nick was fond of talking about it and called us all out on it yesterday, which he was very well in the right of doing. You didn't call Proctor out, so you can call Proctor out again as well. But first, this is an interesting one. This is a quick short about Samy Kamkar. And actually, this is really interesting starting off with this one and then following up with the Aaron Schwartz thing. Because Samy Kamkar is the one that created a worm for Myspace, and he ended up getting like 1 million friends and ended up like actually crashing all of Myspace, which at the time was the #1 most popular website in the world. He ended up getting 3 years probation and where he couldn't touch a computer, then like 720 hours of community service. Actually, it's really interesting little short. He didn't mean to do it, and I mean, I guess the issue is that he caused a lot of devastation for the biggest website at the time. But the key there, I think, is that at least he did it to MySpace and not to like the U.S. government or something else like that. Because I think that's also the biggest difference with Aaron Schwartz is he went up against people that are
That he should have been going up against instead of just screwing.
Yeah. He went up against people that are old money, not new money. Which MySpace is definitely like new money people. That
Did they have money, MySpace? Did they ever figure that out? Are they around still?
Not anymore, but they did have a lot of money back in the day.
MySpace is still around. It actually just had a database hack of like 437 million passwords. So
No
MySpace
way, really?
is still around.
Yeah.
I bet no one
Yeah.
uses those though.
They refocused on music after they bought them from
I remember that.
Tom.
Yeah, and like
I remember that because when I
bands go to it, bands still use it. Apparently.
yeah, I did remember that because Tank and I have a friend who set up a band page there like long after I thought MySpace was done. And I was like, oh,
So it does, yeah. I guess they've found a market and a service for it currently. It's kind of weird.
it's really a shame because it was kind of like Facebook with options. You know?
It was. I liked it better than Facebook.
I used MySpace honestly, and I
I like
don't
it better than Facebook as well.
I don't use Facebook. So.
I used MySpace briefly.
And actually, I don't want to use either of them. No, I mean, I would
Michael
never
used social media.
Very
Everybody
briefly
go to
back
the
in the
Wayback
day.
Machine. Michael has a MySpace page on there.
I think it was brief.
Google Plus will get some of my traffic these days just because they shove a little cookie and a lot of crap into every other thing that they do. But no, social media is bad, y'all. All of it.
It's not bad. It's bad to be addicted to and to check every 5 minutes, like you were talking about. Some people.
Well, yeah, it is like I'm talking about, but also it's just one of those. To me, it's one of those like, I mean, people can say what they want, but I know what you're doing. You know, it's popularity. You know, and then there's the shame and the sadness of not doing as well as someone else, and then there's the someone else who's doing better, and then there's I said something.
There's
all of that stuff
let me see.
There's a name for it. It's called the friend paradox. I think it is. It's actually, you know,
All
it
of that
seems like
stuff
all your
is
friends are
if
more
you end up
popular than you are.
basing-
They actually
no,
are.
all of that stuff is if you end up basing your life off of it. If you just use it as a fun website, you don't get those type of things. You don't end up dealing with.
But you can't just use it like that because they've designed the technology and everything that goes into it that you can.
60% of the people.
I can. I look at Facebook. I look at the Facebook stream, and I have like 1,000+ friends in there that I look at various streams, and I just use it to find interesting information and see, hey, that person's doing something cool. That's a nice idea. I don't look at it like, oh man, I wish I had.
I use like Google's search engine for that, or like Reddit, or.
See, I don't like Reddit at all. I never go into Reddit. Reddit is like.
I don't particularly like Reddit, but I have relied upon.
I will search Reddit.com, but I haven't actually went to the front page yet. You know, not like since back when they first started, because it was one of those. Okay, you know, now I'm done with message boards because it's like a message board, and I love those, a message form, but for the whole internet, and so you know, I liked that, but
it's funny though that you don't go to the front page, you search the front page of the internet because that's their tagline, you know, the front page of the internet.
I do I'll Google site:/reddit.com or something if I really want to find something on Reddit. But
do you guys have yogas? Do any of you have a Lenovo Yoga? I'm sure you reformatted it when you got it or not, but there was a link that Phoenix posted. There's been a lot of links recently because of the story. This is related to
which one's the Yoga?
All the I forget. But I think it's their tablet.
One that Donald really wanted you to get, but you got the iPad one instead, or the ThinkPad one instead.
Oh yeah, the ThinkPad. I got the ThinkPad model because I wasn't buying that consumer junk.
Yeah.
Junk they put on there, and then we were just finding that out like right after I bought it too, and I was so glad.
Yeah, and apparently though all of the top five PC manufacturers, they together they all are vulnerable with their software. They all have a piece of software that's basically vulnerable to to stuff that's out there and basically can cause you to get owned in
we
10
talked
minutes.
about that yesterday.
We did, but it's relevant because of this story.
You
and
did,
so this
Michael, because you dropped out because you were scared of us talking about your.
Well, okay, all right. Well, let's not dig out the past. Let's not dig out the past. But the Lenovo Yoga is very related to that story.
So anyway, let's the Samy Kamkar thing or Kamkar thing was interesting, and
Did you say Sammy Hagar or Kamkar?
Kamkar?
Sammy Kamkar? What?
Yeah.
Sammy? You said Sammy Hagar, and then you
I
said.
probably mispronounced it, but yes, I did not mean Samy Hagar.
Okay, just check it.
Anyway, that one is an interesting story, especially when you compare it with the Aaron Schwartz one, and that's what Nick had brought up yesterday. And if you haven't read his Wikipedia or watched this documentary on it,
You need
definitely highly recommend you do, because this is a kid that started out at a young age. Honestly, that's more the zero cool than I would say the Sammy Kamkar was, um, because he started out at a young age being able to do fairly high level stuff. I mean, he was part of the he was one of the founders of Reddit. But he was also, which is one of the things he's most famous for, which blows my mind. But he was also a key member of the Creative Commons license, which has helped the internet amazingly.
That's huge.
He also
GPL,
was
Creative Commons, those things. Yeah.
he was also
and
part of.
the feds killed him. We haven't got that far yet.
Yeah, no, we haven't gotten that far. Quit ruining the story. Spoiler alert. Um, he also was a main member of the team that developed RSS version 1, so the RSS standard.
Oh,
He was
that's
a
right.
big part of that coming up, and that was
Love
like when he really started to become known around the internet, because he had been working with all of these people on the RSS standard and was like in the email mailing list or whatever, and like throwing up really good ideas, but also being very argumentative and confrontational.
Phoenix PC. I did see the story and the news release, press release, and all that.
And then he ended up they were like, how come you never come into any of the live meetups for this RSS thing? And he was like, well, I don't think my mom would let me since I just turned 14. And they were like,
oh,
what? You're 14? Seriously? Now you have to come to one of these, because now we have to meet this 14-year-old that's been helping us develop this major standard for the internet.
That's what?
So like he's met a bunch of people.
Going to jail.
Super bright kid, and
going to jail.
Yeah. So then
he went to jail.
He ended up going to the fact where he found out that court cases where you had to pay 10 cents per page, and he ended up finding a way to join a site that basically was like, if you pay for one of these pages, upload it here so that we can make it available for everyone for free, because it should be for free. So
and it's public information, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, the court stuff is public information, and by law, they're only supposed to charge you the amount that it costs to maintain it, and they're definitely not doing that. But for that one, he only ended up doing a script where he went to the libraries where they set up pilot programs where like 4 libraries in the entire U.S. had the ability to look up any of these court documents for free. So he created a script where people went to these libraries and just downloaded as many of them as they could at those libraries, and ended up adding like 20 million documents to that thing. What he ended up getting in a lot of trouble for was because he also tried to do the same thing with the JSON Scholar documents. So your Scholar publishing, whatever they're called, I forget the exact.
Yeah, like Google Scholar is an example of.
No, it's like the when scientists come up with something and they publish it. What's it called? What's the thing that they publish it in called?
Journal.
A journal, yeah.
Journal, yeah. So all the scholarly journals, you actually have to have a subscription to be able to access those. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have a subscription, you don't get to access all of that wealth of information. So he did the same thing with the scripting stuff and found out that MIT had a subscription to it. So he went to MIT, set up a computer in the basement, and started just downloading a bunch of the kernel.
He didn't hack nothing either.
A little
He
bit of a vigilante in this
literally
regard.
went to the networking closet and plugged a cord in. Plugged in.
But I mean, but a little bit of vigilanteism in the sense of, if there were legal precedents for, if he was breaking a law. But that's the thing. Was he really breaking a law at those times? I don't know.
Well,
And
what
future
they
sake, Eric points out that the feds may have pressured him into a suicide. And while I'm just going to say that I think that is totally possible, I also think that if it happened, it was totally intentional. And perhaps other methods were used other than just letting it go and using the court system. But
yeah, so there's a lot going on in that whole scenario of that side of it. But essentially, what they did was they did want to make a big example of him, and they ended up bringing up massive charges on him, fines and life. Essentially, what would have been life in prison with all the charges they ended up putting on him, and he really didn't do something that was detrimental to anyone. It would have actually only helped everyone. So that's
Phoenix points out that he was charged under the Hacking Act, and since he was accessing an unauthorized network closet without the IT department's permissions to do.
Hacking Act. Actually,
well, I'm assuming there's a specific one. Yeah, the CFAA.
Computer Fraud and Abuse Act.
CFAA, yeah.
The biggest point here is this is a law and act that was created in like 1986 after a whole bunch of people in Congress saw war games.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Broderick made it so that people are now getting in jail.
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, whatever. He is now made it
his
so that
character, not him, his character.
No, he did it. He did it so well. He did it.
Producers?
He didn't specifically do it. he was just playing a part, a role.
He could have done it worse, and nobody would have saw the movie, and no one would have been scared. He did it so well. He did it.
I love that movie, by the way. I love that.
Anyway, the point of it is though that this is a act. Even this predates the internet. And they're still charging people with things under the internet for it. One of the biggest points that they actually point out in that documentary is the fact that the terms of service, things that you just click through, that all of us have said that nobody reads, like it's common, well-known fact that nobody reads these. Those are actually, if you break those, that's actually felony level crimes. So you got to think about it in that terms, that this is an act that makes the terms of service that no one reads. If you actually break those, you're committing a felony. That means you have no right to carry guns.
The response to this is not measurable with the actual crime in the case, and certainly in the sense. And you could argue one of the themes and topics of the book that I read about Mitnick was he was kind of arguing the same thing, that he didn't profit, from it. I'm not defending Mitnick, but he didn't profit from any of it. So why did he get such a harsh penalty and be prevented from using a computer for such a long period of time and other things? And he was brought under pretty much the same charges, the same act in that case. It's dramatically, widely and broadly.
So vaguely worded, and it's been interpreted by the court so many times as so much that it's really, if you touch a computer, you're almost inevitably breaking that act some way. So they always have a way to charge you with something.
I need to look at it a little bit more closely, but I do.
Not really. There's nothing to look at closely. It basically says if you use something electronic that someone else created, even if you paid for it, and you don't agree to, you're agreeing to those terms, or you're in trouble.
Well, I mean, but isn't
there's nothing to look up.
I know, but isn't that the general principle of licensing to begin with?
No, Michael, think about it this way. So that recent case that I was talking about where the security researcher got raided by the FBI for...
Yeah, I mean, I do understand.
Publicly accessible anonymous FTP server.
Yeah.
He is breaking that act because he didn't get permission from those people that ran that server to access it. Even though they're offering permission to everyone, you still have to get permission from that person to access it.
Yeah,
That
it
doesn't
needs to be updated, but it could. I mean, what I'm saying, I guess it could still be in
That's
place
actually
to provide a service, and that's maybe why it's hard for people to just completely do away with it, because they want the protections that it does afford the legitimate use of it.
That's consistent with the way that people, with the way that other laws are. However, that's consistent with that. If few people know, gosh, I probably shouldn't even say this. Never mind. I had a friend one time when he was younger who was 18, just barely, and who knew cigarettes and an unlocked, sitting on the dashboard of an unlocked car would be was it three? I'm sorry, it was one felony and one felony, two misdemeanors. But it's a felony, yeah, in restitution amount of $1.69. I'm just saying. It's consistent because the point is that when you leave something open, a publicly accessible FTP, no credentials, it's the same thing as an unlocked car in a parking lot. It's just advertising, kind of, but not really.
But, I mean, in that situation,
You're still doing the wrong thing, and you kind of know it.
Well, in that situation, if someone stole a pack of cigarettes from inside a car that was unlocked, that would be still illegal. But
I don't know. I don't know what was stolen from the FTP. Suddenly I've forgotten what the thing was already.
If he didn't even steal anything from it, though, if he just accessed it and saw
breaking, and see, that's just it. That's just it, though. That's like breaking and entering.
Yeah.
Even though you ain't break nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing, though.
Yeah. It is, and I guess that's the other side of it too, though, is the fact that you have a bunch of people that have absolutely no idea how any of this technology works, besides the fact that their children and grandchildren enjoy it. Like, that's probably the extent of some of the senators and Congress people and other lawmakers that we have around the country. That's probably the extent of their computer usage. Like, literally, it is. I know for a fact that my grandmother, which is the age of some of the lawmakers in Congress right now, she only uses technology so that she can look at pictures that other people are posting of her grandkids and children. She doesn't know why she has to use it. She just knows that she can use it to look at that. She doesn't know anything else about it. So that's the kind of people that are creating and making laws for us about this stuff, and they have absolutely no idea about it. One of the other big things they did in the documentary, which again I can't stress enough, thank you, Nick, for pointing that out and telling me to watch that, because it is an extremely good documentary about the current situation of America and the internet in general.
It's funny how it's already a few years old, but
yeah. But the biggest thing was the fact that another big thing in it was that the fact when they were coming up with the SOPA and CISPA Act or whatever, in which actually Aaron Swartz was one of the main people that got the internet so riled up about stopping this act and eventually caused a entire blackout day of the internet. I mean, that's a pretty huge accomplishment there, just to stop a act from going through Congress, which normally, since it had tons of lobbyists backing it, would have just sailed right on through and no one would have been the wiser until they started going to jail for it. The fact that when they were discussing that act in Congress, they were saying, why don't we bring some nerds in here to figure out what's going on with this? Instead of what they took a clip from Jon Stewart in The Daily Show where he was like, I don't think you mean nerds. I think what you meant to say was experts. Experts that know what they're talking about, since we have no idea what we're talking about.
I remember.
You're like saying, oh, why don't we get some nerds to come over and tell us what this is all about? No, it's some experts.
Nerds with their knowledge and stuff.
Yeah, that's what you're dealing with is, oh, we should get some computer geeks to come over here and check this stuff out, because
knowledge of the future.
No, it's you should get an expert because these people are experts, and there is a field of that they're basically oblivious to. Honestly, I really don't feel that it's anything more than a social platform for them. And that is one of the biggest things in there. And he was also a big proponent of um, the fact of information should be free. And I've always been a big fact of that. I mean, the only reason we have internet and computers and everything is because, like, there's nothing around you that wasn't built off using the knowledge of someone else. Absolutely nothing. There's
Remember,
not a thing out there that does that.
I'm sorry to stop you like that. I don't know if we were talking about it on the show or if it was something I was reading in something I'd seen lately that was related to the Aaron Schwartz thing, but which brought it to my mind yesterday. But it was basically something like apparently some other 14-year-old kid or some other prodigy, which I know Aaron was like 20s and when he died. And by the way, just before to move, that kid was my hero. This other thing happened, and this is exactly why that's happening. Is some kids come up with Michael? Maybe you brought it up, but it was someone.
Are you talking about the cancer thing?
Yeah, they found a cure for something, or almost.
That was also in the documentary as well, and it wasn't a cure for it. What they found was a 14-year-old kid that had access to the JSON publications so that he could research and learn these things, was able to figure out a early test for pancreatic cancer. Because at the time, there was the only way, like when they found out you had pancreatic cancer, you were already dead. Like there was no getting around it. You were going to die. They found it, then it's a death sentence.
Pancreatic cancer, but
yeah, whatever.
Let's let him finish. I'm sorry.
He found out a way to test for that in early stages so that you have a chance to fight it. So
that's a wonderful thing, and that's the really
the thing is they're finding it because of this information that's being made free.
Well, Europe,
and I don't know, and I don't know if it was that one in the documentary. I swear I thought it was something newer, and it seems like to me it might have been like autoimmune or like autism related or something. But it was some parents and their kid, and they figured out something with that. Maybe my brain's mush.
Well, I
don't know, but it's like basically later, man. The point that I'm getting at is that if you're restricting all of this information, that we can now take software. And I think what was happening in something that I'd read regarding this was someone used some software.
It's about the control of information. They want to control information.
Cross-reference a lot of that information for a certain specific purpose. And they used all of these papers that were essentially liberated.
That's what in that documentary as well. Schwartz had taken the court documents, not the court documents that he had gotten through that project, but previously he'd done a project in Stanford where he took and downloaded the entire something law directory and used that to cross-reference everything with software and found out that like major people were getting paid off and making money off of the court decisions and how they were being done. And that is the kind of thing you can do is you can aggregate this data and find out interesting links about how things are working in the shadows.
That's part of that. That's part of the reason why I buy into the conspiracies on that.
It's about the control of information, and the more control they have, and they don't want it to be wrested from their fingers, and that's why they put these types of things in place, and that's why year after year after year, they're never questioned by anyone because
that's something else that Nick and I talked about this morning was the fact that. And this may get us targeted or whatever, but we're probably already on some list, I'm sure.
I know we are.
Yeah. So the fact that the big thing they use, like especially with WikiLeaks out there, the whole Edward Snowden revelations, things like that out there, is they fall back immediately on national security and saving lives. And when you invoke those two things in the media, all people hear is just that. They're like, oh, national security, saving lives, whatever that person did, they're done. Send them to jail. They should be executed.
Without a court hearing, without anything else.
Yeah, that's what they all jump to, and they're like, you risked American lives. Oh, you're a terrible terrorist. You should die. But they don't think about the fact that it's actually the national security is the fact that the government is doing things wrong. So they don't want the security of their wrongdoings being let out. And the reason that people would probably be endangered is because the government put them in those places where they would be endangered.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
not
and what's
the fact of like
Go ahead.
that person made it. It's the fact that the government is going to be embarrassed and issues are going to arise from that and people are going to know about it. That's the national security you're protecting. Those are the lives you're saving. So
I just wanted to add though the loss of life by an act from someone who is considered a terrorist, and under these circumstances, just remember the loss of life that's actually justified that we want. Not like we want any loss of life, but think about like stopping
no,
Hitler
there are
or
cases
all those things.
the cases where I've heard it most well put, I guess, is that say we have a spy somewhere doing something. If their name gets leaked, then they are in life-threatening danger because they're a spy.
Hey, you know what? They're in that danger anyway because they're a spy. They've been trained for it. That's what they're in for. They probably expect it. They're probably just working to send money home anyway. If you're like one of those spies,
Nick,
You
but
feel like
they,
you're gonna
Yeah, but
die.
once their name gets out there,
Yeah.
their family's in danger too.
their families in danger,
and
there's a lot of-
that's totally fine, but that's where
Right.
people need to. That's where the government needs to step in and fix that. We already have mechanisms in place for that.
Well,
The issues that I have are, yeah, these guys and their families shouldn't be in danger, yes, but whatever they're doing, whatever their name is exposed on, if it's out there, that's probably for a reason. It probably needs to be because maybe some more people are dying and some more families are dying or something else is happening because of the information that's not getting out.
Yeah. Well, and all of you are quoting the Great Hackers movie, and I mean that stuff is for real. Like it. I honestly say that before 1984, this stuff was already happening and was already an issue. I think it started back in the Nixon era. Was when the biggest turning point for that stuff happened. But it all could just fall back to the whole Illuminati and things of that nature. So. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that could be going on that's what they don't want leaked in. Anyway, highly recommend watching that documentary and checking it out. And we have reached our hour time limit unless anybody has anything else they want to quickly throw out there tightly.
I do. I just want to apologize to everyone who watched yesterday's show because no one knew anything about Aaron Schwartz. I was actually surprised and embarrassed a little bit.
Yeah. I did know of a hacker that was forced to commit suicide because of the government restrictions.
He didn't know his name and everything that he was involved in, though. Everyone knows a little bit about it, but not the whole thing, though, I guess. And, that's actually the kind of information, just to close, that's the kind of information that we need to know.
Yeah, definitely.
So
let's leave you with a couple little less thoughtful links. Black holes could be holograms, so nothing but two-dimensional space. Actually works out better in quantum physics. And
we'll see.
This definitely was a bad idea. From the end of the video, like they act like they talked about this being a bad idea, but it definitely was a bad idea. So
what was a bad idea?
Don't ride your bike on a cliffside.
Oh.
That does not sound like a good idea.
No, it doesn't really sound like a good idea.
So just leave you with that video so you can see that. And one last little thing here, just to throw it out there so it's completely unrelated to anything bad. Here are some soothing sounds of alligator mating calls.
Oh,
How to get you right to sleep at night.
Yeah, it is pretty nice.
a scary cliff video.
It is. It is a scary cliff video.
Reminds me of Wile E. Coyote, super genius.
Boy, he's all excited and happy and stuff, and like I guess
he's
he's alive, and,
Yeah, he's
and
happy he didn't fall off that cliff.
he saved his bike. I think is what he's happy about. But,
Yeah, you better be glad he saved his butt.
but and then he's like showing a little bruise or a little scrape that he got.
Well, he was happy that he
fell off your bike.
If you had the sound going, he was actually laughing that they had said that this was a bad idea before he started.
We got some Futures Tech Eric links. Let's take those right quick. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. So the historical Nazi code machine was sold on eBay, I think for an incredibly low price too, wasn't it? I'd seen an article.
I had seen something about that, but
Yeah, it was like $5 or $10.
yeah,
or
well, it was originally
15,
they didn't know what it was,
15,
and so
15.
they didn't know what it was, and it turns out that allowed them to acquire it pretty cheaply. But I think that was the original sale, right? Wasn't it sold again? Or I don't know. I'd have to
$15
look.
is how
Wow.
much they sold it for.
Wow.
Hmm.
And I had heard that thing about Chile too, that they were giving it away for free. Yeah, we could probably, if we,
I think it's interesting that the Central America and South America are actually like making leaps and bounds in that technology. I think it was like Portugal recently that powered the entire country for 4 days off just renewable energy. So,
yeah,
really good stuff, especially going on down there.
yeah.
Keep
It
in
turns
mind,
out
Portugal's
that
a small
gas
country.
may actually be more expensive in the future to use
Hey,
than.
Brantley, you just linked me to a site. Was it Bloomberg? I just want to say I've been going to these sites lately, and they're like, "Oh, we've noticed you're using an ad blocker," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, and I've noticed you don't like that. Bye."
Yeah, that's what I do too. Wired is the worst for it. Wired won't even give you an option to get around it. You have to pay $1 per week to read Wired articles. Not happening there. Or you can turn ads back on, which makes me wonder if they're making more than $1 per week off each person. That's insane. Advertising is making crap tons of money.
Yeah,
You have
Brantley,
no idea.
the reason it's free, I'm looking into this article, and the reason it's free is because they don't have a well-connected power grid. So when they upgrade and they dump more power into it, it's not getting to where it needs to go. So some areas experience like zero cost for the production because there's overproduction in those areas, and then the interconnected areas that aren't connected as well don't get as much. And there's also complete northern and another. There's two different networks that aren't connected at all. So whatever they do on one never gets to the other. And we may in this country have some issues like that as well in certain areas, but it seems to be the primary reason why it went this low, and shouldn't. If you had like a pure even distribution of it, that wouldn't be the case, because there's still a tremendous demand in areas for power, especially to charge the devices we love, And yeah, it's inadequate infrastructure basically is what they're saying the real cause of it is. But that's not to mean that they don't have large investments in those solar things. And again, the reason this is being published is because those investors are mad now. They're losing money, is what it comes down to. Yeah.
Hey, Eric, you'd had those issues with activation, which D72's activation stuff assisted you with, as well as SFC, if I recall correctly. But Phoenix also had posted an article earlier today about activation errors and listed two specifically there, and it might have a reason for it. I didn't actually read the article yet, so I just saw the title and was like, oh, that kind of relates back. But if D72 fixes it and SFC fixes it, don't worry about it. But if it doesn't, you got some more information that you can check out there. So, all right. Well, does anybody else in the chat have anything else they want to throw out there, or any of us have anything else they want to throw out there? Going 1,000.
I'm good.
Going 1,000.
I'm just waiting for the Friday show. I'm ready to get loose.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we are going to wrap it up today. So thanks everyone for joining us. Had a full crowd in here and lots of chit chatter and going there. So thank you all for your participation and joining us for our random talks here.
I want
we
to
will
thank
be-
Michael. I'm
What's
sorry.
that?
I want to thank Michael, as long as we're thanking. I want to thank Michael for not watching the movie, the Aaron Schwartz documentary, upon my recommendation last night, and Brantley for actually doing it. Because if Michael did it also, then the show would just be getting started. And
Yeah.
everyone would leave anyway.
Michael would.
Trust me, Michael, you're going to have a lot to say when you read that, when you watch that. But
I don't think Michael would have gotten anything done after he watched that movie. Like
Mm-mm.
probably for the next week or so.
Talk about a rant.
Yeah.
I might pop I might have some sort of medical issue, actually. Who knows? I might.
He's
Yeah.
up to vein.
when the blood just starts squirting out of your forehead with no cut at all, and no, just.
Some of that stuff just made me so my blood just boiled for the freedom of information. But anyway, let's wrap it up. Do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother story, Freedom of Information Act and having to pay for that. Anyway, so yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow for our Friday show at 6 p.m. Again, we are here to support our products and services, so if you ever have any questions or comments about that, feel free to interrupt all our ranting and raving with it. We'll be more than happy to focus on that instead.
That's what we're actually here for.
Yeah, that is what we're here for. But otherwise, we'll see you all tomorrow, hopefully. And thanks everyone for joining us, and take us on out, Proctor.
All right.
Bye, Internet.